Hi Madrona students, I have a math lesson for you today. If you've been doing division on paper with a single digit divisor and you're feeling confident and ready for the next challenge, I'm going to walk you through dividing by a 2-digit divisor. So on paper here I've written a dividend, the number that we're sharing. It's 8,953,678 and I'm sharing it with 24. I've brought out the racks and tubes material so you can see and visualize that when we have a dividend, we actually have that quantity in the cups, right? We have our millions, our 100,000s, 10,000s, unit thousands, hundreds, tens, and units. And we're sharing equally. You have abstracted that when you're doing a single digit divisor, you're just working with one board. And so when you're sharing your dividend, you're just sharing with a unit. And whatever one unit gets is your quotient, the number that you write up top, what each unit gets. Division is fair, right? So what happens when we have a divisor that's in the tens? We have to share with two categories at the same time. So with our material, we have two divisor boards. We have a tens and we have a units. That means because a 10, one of these tens, is equal to 10 units, we can imagine 10 units lined up behind each of these. That if we were sharing to a 10, we would have to be sharing equally to all the units lined up behind it. And it works out that we can take our largest category, such as the millions, and share with the tens at the same time that we share our next highest category, the 100,000s. Why? Because 10 of these is equal to 1 of these. So we can share to our tens with the millions at the same time that we can share our 100,000s with our units. They would be getting the same amount. So if we follow that rule that we have to share equally to our divisors, and we're looking at our paper, that means instead of looking at our first number and sharing just with the unit, we have to look at our first two categories when we're sharing to our 2-digit divisor. So we're looking at the 8 and the 9 shared with the 24. So if we go to our cups, we have 8 million to share with our 2 tens. But every time we share once here, we have to be able to share once here. So we have our 100,000s that we're sharing. And then we can share again. And we share again here. Okay, but I notice I can share again here, but I'm anticipating, just because I know how many is left in my cup here, I can't go again unless I say, can I borrow one? And so I'm going to borrow one of these, put it back and exchange it for 10 of these. Let's make sure 2, 4, 6, 10. Okay. So I know that I have 3 here, so I have to be able to share 3 to my units, right? Okay, if I share, each unit gets 3, each 10 gets 3. I can't share again because I only have 1 left in my cup. This is where I have to stop and write down 3 in my quotient category above what the unit was working with, the 100,000s. Okay, how many did I use up on my board? Well, 4 times 3 is 12 beads. I could also count them. But since on my paper I'm only going to put the 2 here, since I borrowed 1 bead from the millions, it's going to go back to this board. So I'm going to hold that 1 in my head and add it to these 6. That's 7, right? So I'm going to put that 7 here. And then I'm going to find my partial remainder. 9 take away 2 is 7. 8 take away 7 is 1. And that should match what I have left in my cups. I have 1 and I have 7. Okay, and then you know, since you've been doing division on paper, that the next step is to bring over your next category. And remember, when we do division with the racks and cubes, this is what it looks like, right? We move over our categories, we bring in our next cup, we clean up our board, okay? But since you don't have the racks and tubes at home, I'm going to talk you through how you could continue doing this problem. By now, you've probably figured out that if you know the multiples of your divisor, you can figure out how many times you can share your dividend, right? So, on the side of my paper, I found the multiples of 24 all the way through 9. And it's easier to write it vertically to do the multiplication. So I did 24 times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I can use these multiples to help me share. So just to recap what we did the first time, 89 shared with 24. How many times could I share equally without going over 89? This is too high. This is the right number. I can share 24 3 times because that would be 72. That would be fair. And what would we get left over? That's our partial remainder. We brought over our next category. So now we have 175 to share. So which multiple is close to 175? Oh, this one, right? So that means that I could share along here all the way up to 7. So I have 168 that would have been expressed on my divisor boards, and I would have been able to share 7 times. So 7 times 24 is 168. And then how many would I have left in my cups? Well, I'd have to exchange over here. 15 take away 8, 7, 6 take away 6 is 0. I would have just had 7 left over. And then I would have brought over my 3 in my next cup, and I would have 73 to share with 24. That looks familiar. I've done that one before. I'm going to use this multiple. 72 is how many I would have shared out, and I would have been able to share 3 times. Okay. Well, then I would have only had 1 left in my cup, and then I would have brought over the 6. 16 cannot be shared with 24 equally, right? So when you can't share it, you get to put 0 up here. And then you would have nothing shared on your board, so you just put a 0 down there. How many would be left over in your cups? 16. You'd move your 7 over. Now you have 167 to share. Let's see, which multiple do I want to use for 167? It's pretty close, but I don't have that many to share. I just have 167, so I have to use this one. That means I can share 6 times. 6 times 24, 144. Okay, let's do the subtraction. 7 take away 4 is 3. 6 take away 4 is 2. I'd have 23 left in my cup. I bring down that 8. Now I have quite a lot to share. I have 238 to share. Well, this is the most I can get, right? So 24 9 times. I would have used up my whole board. You can imagine all the beads that would have been, right? So 9 times, and we have 216. That's 2 and 2, 22. So whenever we have something left over, we have a remainder. So we would have had a remainder in our cup. And you can always check your division by multiplying and then adding your remainder. Would you like to try this on your own? You can write a number in the millions. You can try a divisor in the tens now. Please share with me what you do. I can't wait to see. Have fun.